This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day. Carefully crafted for you by humans, so meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Fully Managed podcast. Thank you, Christine, so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
No, it's fun to be here.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. I'm super excited. So today we're going to hit the ground running, start with a game. This is probably selfishly my favorite part of the podcast because I just think it's fun. You get out of your, marketing brain. I guess actually this one is getting into your marketing brain, but in a more creative way, I suppose. So this game is called Market Me This. So I'm going to give you either, depending on how long it takes, one unusual product or many unusual products that may be a little hard to, market. And you're going to just develop a short little plan for me. You can delve into any part of it. Obviously, marketing takes way longer than just, brainstorming on the spot. But anything that you want to delve into, we can get into, and it'll just be a fun little practice, I guess.
Well, this is wild, but let's go. Let's run with it.
Okay. Okay. This one might be really fun. Okay. Invisible socks.
Invisible socks.
Invisible socks.
Okay, great. So we're going to do an influencer campaign on TikTok.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. We are getting a series of fashion and lifestyle creators, right? And we are going to give half of them the invisible socks, and the other half is going to do Emperor's New Clothes style content. Ooh. And then the audience will have to guess which creators actually wore the socks and which didn't. And if you guess right, you're actually going to win a pair of socks. There you go.
I love how your brain works. This was incredible. You had it ready.
And I wasn't briefed on this in advance. Yeah. Just for the audience, I did not know what the product was.
How did you cheat? Can you see my computer? Is it the reflector back there?
It is not. I just winged it.
No, that was it. I love that. Okay. What do you think the purpose of invisible socks is? Out of curiosity.
I don't know, to sell women another thing that we don't need, perhaps.
Ankles must be sightly now. We're bringing back ankles.
Yeah. Feet. I don't know.
Well, beautiful. Okay, I love that because you did that so quickly. I'm going to give you one more just to maybe test you. A little more. Okay. Okay. Shazam. You know Shazam, right?
Yes,
okay.
Of course.
Just
yeah.
For smells.
Shazam for smells. Okay. We are going to partner with the D2C company Scentbird, right? And we are going to run a campaign where they're going to Shazam people on the streets. And if that perfume matches a perfume that they're selling on their site, that person wins a gift card to the e-com.
I love that. Okay, your brain is incredible. I'm really excited to talk to you more about marketing. Okay. Beautiful campaigns. I wish that you were doing campaigns for these in real life because
I know. Call us Scentbird.
Your brain works amazing. Okay. So, let's get into it then.
Let's get into it.
First, tell me a little bit about yourself so that people can understand why your mind is so brilliant, your history behind your role now, and just like anything that you think people would like to know.
So the most interesting thing about me is not actually me at all. It is my dad. I was born into Italian, you could say circus royalty. So my dad is a clown. My uncle is a clown. My whole family on my dad's side, they're all Italian circus artists, third, fourth generation, dating all the way back. And my mom, actually, she ran away with the circus in her early 20s. That's how she eventually met my dad, had 2 daughters. We were raised between traveling in Central Europe with the circus or a bunch of different circuses, and then going to school in Helsinki, Finland to like also have a proper education. So I think that kind of like gives a little bit of an idea on like why I ended up having a creative profession myself.
Whoa. Okay, that is this almost combats the one of the craziest stories I've heard on the podcast was that someone's business, like someone's agency that they created was shut down because there was mob infiltration. And this really, like, this story is more interesting than that, actually. That's
related.
really cool.
So actually related to the mob, some of my family members who do run circuses in Italy, whenever you do shows in the south, like Sicily, southern parts of Italy, there are areas where you would have to ask the local mafia family for permission to actually set up the circus there, because if you don't have protection, something might happen while you're in town. So
it's so cool. Okay.
Allegedly,
yeah, we're not here to get in trouble by any kind of interest groups.
I don't think the mob listens to this podcast. So
yeah, I don't think that would be actually crazy if mob royalty or any kind of
DM us.
DM us. You do. We would love to market you guys. But maybe not. Actually, I don't know. They would protect us. But anyway, okay. So how did you get into marketing from this circus path? What did you start marketing them? That would be really cool. Actually.
Oh yeah. No. So actually, like I said, I did have my home base in Helsinki, Finland, and ended up joining an ad agency there, TBWA. Obviously, they're quite well known here in the US as well. I joined them as an event coordinator because that was the only role that they had open at the time. I wanted to become a copywriter, and I managed to get a freelance or like part-time hourly based job supporting the events team. And while I was there doing that as a day job and studying in college at the same time, in Europe, you can kind of like work and study at the same time. It's a little bit different than here. I started doing all of the writing assignments that the actual copywriters did not want to do. If it was a brochure, this was the time when Facebook first popped up. So social media was very much like, oh, let's like have the interns, the juniors do that type of work.
And 6 months, how much it would benefit you to get that experience. They were like,
I know.
I'm doing this.
And 6 months in, I had a little printed out portfolio of work that I'd done. And I sat down with two of the creative directors there and asked for a chance to be in the creative team. And they said, okay, yes. But if you suck at this, you have to understand to like resign on your own. We're not even going to fire you. You're going to have to come to us and be like, I'm leaving. And I was like, all right, game on.
What?
Ended up staying there for 5 years. Ooh. I was fortunate enough to be part of campaigns and stunts and work that got awarded internationally at Cannes, one show, the works. And that kind of brought me over to the US as well. So I came here to work with the New York office on an assignment that I was on for 6 months, working remotely from Helsinki, Finland. And I was here and I thought to myself, I could move to New York. How hard can it be?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Very hard. It took me a year and a half or almost 2 years to find a company that would sponsor my visa, bring me over. And that's what ended up happening. And that's when I also made the pivot to go to B2B marketing on the tech side.
That is incredible. What is it like to have that pressure of accountability for like knowing that you're doing a good job at something that you're new at? Because having them tell you that you have to like kind of police yourself in whether you're, like learning and growing and being good in a role because they won't tell you is really interesting, like a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, I think one of my best traits is that I've never really suffered from imposter syndrome. I have like sometimes a little bit of the opposite where I'm like, I could do this. Like if if like a mediocre white man can do it, why can't I do it? And they think they're the best at it. So no offense to mediocre white men.
Yeah, no, but someone
You're
needs to be
inspirational. You
them.
inspire me.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, again, like I kind of do have this unwavering belief that I can figure things out. And so when I did get that opportunity, I thought to myself, like, yes, finally, I have the opportunity to show what I can do rather than coming from a place of like, what if I fail?
Yeah.
I think it's it's always good to have a healthy amount of fear, but I don't think that should drive us. I think the possibility of success should drive us more.
Yeah, I think that's an incredible mentality to have, especially where drive is concerned. Like, if you're convinced that you're going to fail, or that your central focus is that, then you might just, it just might just be like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. Like, instead, if you're like, let's see what I can do, at least like you gave it your best effort if it's something that you find out you're not great at. Like,
Exactly.
so it's like, what's the harm? Especially if you're given a chance, like you should, put your best effort and your best foot forward and, figure that out.
Yeah, for sure.
So that leads me into crowd then. So
Yeah.
you kind of talked about your history. So you're relatively new in your role at crowd. And I'd love to talk about that because a lot of times I talk to people who have been in a position for a very long time. And I think this is a good perspective to get. Do you mind talking about like what maybe took some adjusting, like maybe a struggle that you had or something like that when being in a new position? Obviously, if you can't say certain things, I totally understand, but anything that you could comment on.
Yeah, I think I'll speak to more generally. So the last couple of years, right, have been really tumultuous in advertising, marketing on the agency side, right? And I've actually, I'm not ashamed to say I was part of 2 layoffs like since 2023, right? Which has meant that I've had a lot of new starts at new companies, whether, because some of the time I was freelancing. And so then, again, it is like starting a new role, but a little bit different because it is at a temporary basis. But nevertheless, it's been a lot of, I think the biggest struggle overall is starting over and over and over, where you're coming into a new role. You have to make sure that you're delivering the first 90 days so that you can have some of those quick wins and ship things. I think a lot of people get stuck in that like strategy and decks and thinking and having conversations and relationship building, but you also have to show impact, especially in this environment right now. And so having to operate at 100 while also leaving some time to be strategic, while also learning who's who, building out relationships, understanding the ways of working, because every company is different. And so I wouldn't say if there are challenges related to crowd specifically, but I think rather having to kind of do an onboarding and orientation while also being very high performing at the same time. I think that's the biggest challenge. And I absolutely love crowd and I love the team. And I'm hoping that this is the last time in a long while that I have to do an onboarding at a company.
I hope so too. It seems like you're a really great personality to be able to kind of navigate this, like these circumstances, though. I mean, like, obviously no one ever wants to be in these positions, but at the same time, it's like, because I think a lot of people start positions having that fear that we just talked about. And so to maybe have a little less of that and like believe in yourself, at least you can, I think the first 90 days, more people are just scared of failing. So they're having that whole, like, and then having been let go and then going to another position and having that same dynamic, it's like you're getting that much scared over time, maybe. So I think it's great that at least you've been able to be positive and like, I think navigate through that in a very efficient way and still get to the point where, you're still excited about this role is really, really great. Yeah, I think especially well, I'd love to know about what you're doing in your role now. Like, what does your day-to-day kind of look like?
Yeah. So I am the director of marketing for Crowd US. Crowd is an independent agency group where around 600 full-time people and then almost 3,000 crowdies. So there are freelance contractor network where a lot of them actually work for us almost at a full-time capacity. But right, so we have sort of a smaller core group, and then we have these people, these experts in our network that we can activate, scale up, scale down based off of client needs. And we do full service media, from performance to brand media, and then also creative, social, and influencer through Born Social. That is our sister agency, and also part of our group. We sit in the same offices. We work together. We're all like one big group. I oversee US as a market, so everything from PR to events to content to social. But then in practice, I also work with our CMO and our global team on larger service line or product launches or bigger company milestones and moments and brand work.
So because you are the director of marketing for the US, do you still work or navigate with global campaigns? So
yes.
Okay, so yes.
Yeah,
so how does that work? Like, how are you able to create a cohesive brand while also kind of resonating with very different and diverse audiences?
Mm-hmm. So I work together with our CMO, who's based out of London. A lot of our company was founded in London. A lot of our leadership is still there. And so I think the way you bring everybody together across like tech and product and client leadership is having a streamlined process, great briefing docs, making sure that everybody's on the same page and has input, but also that decision making is centralized and that you don't necessarily have too many cooks in the kitchen when deciding on things. That's a big one. I think that in our industry, if I look at things in, let's say, the UK versus the US, there are some differences in styles. Like, for example, selling is very different in Europe compared to here. I think here is much more outbound, more aggressive, more go hunt for the leads and nurture those leads and try to convert them. And I think Europe is perhaps a little bit more based on relationships and conversations. It's like a softer
I like
sales
style,
nice. I would say. And in terms of localizing different messages, so what we do is it's quite simple. So if we have spokespeople that are talking to the media in the UK, if we have press coming out of that, they're going to be the ones who post and share that to their networks. We amplify that, but I'm a huge believer in telling your company's story through key people in your company versus obviously, like, your company LinkedIn page is a nice to have, and you have to keep a steady cadence of content there too. But in terms of reach and in terms of actually getting to the right people, you have to go through your people in the organization. So that's one way to localize. You have familiar faces talking about the campaign, the launch, the product. And then we do just like small things. Like, for example, if we have a product launch, the UK version will be written in UK English for the newsletter, and that comes from our UK CEO. And then we do the same thing here in the US.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. I do love the idea that you mentioned of like utilizing the people within your company to kind of advertise or market something, because I do think that a lot of people like to in the big day of influencers, I think a lot of people like to kind of have this attachment to a person or a personality and like resonate with that person. And I think that it kind of helps people relate to a brand more and like understand it more and feel at least they have that, what is it called, that type of relationship that you can
parasocial
have. Yes, like that parasocial relationship, even though they're very estranged, and I think there should be more studies on them. I'd love to read it. It is like something that does work for marketing very well, because I think that you know, you want that connection with the brand that you are like looking into.
And a B2B buyer is not that different from a B2C buyer. And I actually personally love that LinkedIn is finally becoming a place where we can have a little bit of fun. People are posting memes related to their job or their profession or their industry, and just, you know, snappy one-liners. I do like the space that it's becoming. It's less about excited to announce and more about just like kind of, you know, ranting with your peers, I guess.
I like it. I think it's very it's very funny in a way that I think it lost some of its professional filter over time.
Oh, it
And
did,
I
yeah.
do read some posts where I'm like, I wouldn't have posted that on LinkedIn personally. I wouldn't want people to
Some of
know
the
that.
lines are getting a little bit blurred. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I still want to keep like things professional, but I think we can have a little bit more fun. Like the other week I posted about so Cisco's Thong Song, which was a massive hit in the 90s, I guess. I don't know if you were born yet.
I do remember. I was not, but I do remember about it.
And so it kind of blew up again on TikTok because Cynthia Erivo did a whole dissertation video about why Cisco's Thong Song is absolutely ridiculous but iconic. And so I did this whole post on LinkedIn. I'm actually predicting or hoping that a consumer brand, maybe like Calvin Klein Briefs, does a remake with Cisco with Thong Song. Like, this needs to happen because like everybody was going crazy. He's still touring and he's still performing, and people were
still touring.
Yes, and people were losing their minds over like Cisco performing today. So it's like a little bit of internet lore there.
No, I love that because I do think that I also agree with you that LinkedIn becoming more fun is definitely great, especially from a marketing perspective, because I think like when you can have some kind of fun and like comedy with your campaigns as well, like I think that's also something that makes you more relatable. I think it's funny when people kind of push that boundary, and sometimes that's a good thing and a fun thing, but sometimes it's like, whoa. But I do think that there's a line, and I do think that it makes it much more of a social media than I would think it was maybe a couple of years ago, even, and that's such a short period of time. But I do think that some people share on their, like they do on Instagram, like they post their photos and like their family and things like that, and I think that's very fun for the right person. And not that, you know, I'm not gatekeeping LinkedIn. People can do whatever they want on their LinkedIn. I'm not judging them, but it really will work depending on what you're doing for the right person. Like when sometimes when like a founder does something, especially for like a smaller agency or even a bigger agency, when people can kind of have that glimpse into your life and they can relate to it and understand it, it does just give that extra oomph of people being able to relate to your brand and feel like they're a part of it.
Yeah, you just need to be careful that it doesn't start feeling cheesy. Like, you know, having those types of posts where like, I don't know, like they write this like whole thing about maybe their wife and kids, and then it starts bleeding a little bit into this almost like a performance or like a performance theater of you wanting to look like the ideal family man, or like, right? Like, it's like, I don't know if this needs to be here. I do love posts when people are candid about work-life balance, or, you know, when you're talking about how you're becoming a parent and also running a company, like I think those things have a space there. But when it becomes more around like, okay, this is actually you have a humble brag, like wanting a back pat on like being a really great parent, like then it's, or a great husband, great spouse, great wife, then I'm like, okay, I don't know if this should be here.
I completely agree with that. I think that's what it comes with being relatable, is it's like people can tell when you're inauthentic. Like not everyone, but most people, especially marketers who are literally like have the eye for seeing whether something is made with AI only or like is in like authentic or not. And consumers, because they're constantly being marketed to with social media and so much advertising space, like how much noise there is, people are also developing a better eye for that as well. And I think that when you have that kind of facade put up, people can see right through it at points, and it is cheesy, especially when it's something like I love the joke post, but people actually do make them, and I see them on my own LinkedIn of me and my wife divorced, and these are 4 things that
yeah.
Those make me crack up. But I'm also like, what is this doing for you? Like, what are I think when people do post, they should kind of maybe see, like, I love the transparency of it, of especially the work-life balance. I actually think that trend on LinkedIn is incredible and very powerful in, you know, setting this like a better precedence about how people should work and what's good for them. But I also think that you kind of have to look at like, how would this post affect me? Like, what would people think? And I think that on LinkedIn, you kind of have to do that more than on your social media. That's more like likes.
And I think satire and comedy and jokes, you have to be a stellar writer to hit the tone right. And so again, like if you're not in that 1%, I would maybe like skip that. But I do follow a couple people who are just incredible with that and like have that wit and tone and are very creative. And so then like you get a full pass.
Yeah, no, I if I laugh because of your LinkedIn post, which I doesn't happen very often for me, just I'm like, you did a great job. Like, I applaud you for that because it's kind of hard to walk that professional line while also like having humor, because a lot of people fear that you know they're being insensitive to maybe a certain type of group or something. It's very it'd be so worried about being tasteful when you're posting on a professional platform such as that.
Sure.
So, okay, so kind of speaking related to this, so what is it like marketing to marketers? Like what is the trouble or like the fun too about the idea of having that almost paradoxal kind of thing?
I think it's a tough crowd for sure, because the bar is so high. The flip side of it is that you are able to reference a lot of inside baseball because we know what we're talking about. We're perennially online. We're following what other brands are doing. So there is this kind of opportunity to then also just like speak amongst ourselves, right? I'm a marketer myself. And so that's like sort of the upside of it. I do think that when you are able to do something very standout and creative and impactful, they appreciate it more than an average consumer, right? Because marketers love to talk about great campaigns. One of the best things that I've done as a B2B marketer was a few years back when I was still at Celtra. They're a creative automation software company. And we actually were able to secure the marquee branding spot at Cannes Lions to brand the whole pink carpet that envelops the festival area. And it has almost 100 out-of-home ad placements. And so we were able to write this, we just done a rebrand. We were able to write the full sort of brand story and the product hero messages along the croisette and outside of the festival. And, you know, people would come up to us and marketers would come up to us and be like, wow, like you're everywhere in Cannes, you've invested so much money. And I'm like, actually, this is like the only thing that we did. Like we put all of our, right. But it looked like we were being everywhere. And similar thing happened actually at the same company a few years before that, where we bought a series of digital out-of-home placements in Las Vegas for CES. And we had one of the like massive CPG companies call us up and say like, hey, wow, like you've really invested big into CES this year. And again, like we were like, oh yeah, we did. And in reality, it was the out-of-home plus the sales team on the ground. But again, perception is reality. So yeah, I do enjoy B2B. I enjoy marketing to marketers. I enjoy the fact that now it's becoming more fun. Again, with LinkedIn and with B2B influencers entering the chat, there's a lot more, like the bar for creative is higher, and companies are finally starting to understand that you also have to be creative in B2B to stand out.
No, I love that. It must feel that much better to have marketers like patting you on the back for a campaign when
it's everything. Yeah.
They are weeding through the noise all the time. Like they know like what it's like a mentor patting you on the back for something that you did, because marketers are taught to look at things a certain way. Like they can see when something's hollow. They can see when something's inauthentic. So you know your campaign is truly successful when fellow marketers and that's all you do. So that must feel amazing when the campaign is truly successful. You really do know it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think also in being in this sort of like professional space, what I like about it too is that you have to be very intelligence led. So again, because you have to be deeper, you have to pull your own research. You have to have a perspective on the industry. The thought leadership needs to have teeth, right? You can't just kind of, if you're marketing a toothpaste, I don't know, you put out a few of the key USPs, maybe you run a fun influencer campaign. It's just a very different arena that you're playing in. I think in B2B marketing, you have to be very thoughtful, and you have to a lot of times do it with like much smaller budgets than in consumer marketing. And so it like kind of forces you also to act creative.
Yeah. What is, like, other than maybe the noise of, or maybe not the noise, but the difficulties that come with marketing to marketers, what do you personally feel like those are?
I think I'd say one of the challenges that we have is that sales cycles are typically very long, which means that if like I've seen anything from like if you're in services, you could look at a 3 to 6 month sales cycle, depending on how long it takes to close a deal, depending on the company and size of that company. And then in B2B tech, it might be even longer. You might even see sales cycles as long as 9 months, which means that when you're launching a product or you're running a campaign, a lot of the times, or even doing events, because again, you might go to an event and you might meet with 40 marketers, but maybe 5% of those marketers are right now in RFP season and want to actually engage you for an immediate sale, right? And then a portion of that gets dropped out. You don't win every pitch. And so again, like it takes a very long time to show results. And when it takes a long time to show results, a lot of the time you're going to have to just like almost run on faith and say like, hey, look, like these were some of the initial signals that we're getting. But I think you can only start to get into a more of a predictive place with your integrated marketing as a whole. Obviously, you'll see results on social, you'll see results on your newsletter performance, even lead gen. But the long-term effects of building your brand are going to start manifesting like maybe like year 2. And so that's sometimes challenging because you got to tell the leadership like, hey, come on a ride with me, trust me, invest in this. Like, I'm not going to be able to show you anything on the brand side of things for the next like 18 months, but it's going to start paying dividends once we get to that space. And the biggest challenge is most companies are too short-sighted to let that program run into that place because a lot can happen in 18 months. You lose clients, there's a recession, there's tariffs, like different things might be pummeling at you. And then you're like, no, now we have to be tactical. Let's shift gears. And you've shifted gears like 4 to 5 times, but you're not able to kind of like see through on the brand side of things.
No, I completely relate to that because I think even as like a partnership coordinator, sometimes like you really do have to have faith in relationship alone, that sometimes like later down the line, like I, create these relationships, make friends or whatever. And then one day they might need user service or they have a friend that might need it. And it's not always a perfect time to meet someone. And that doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile, like talking to those people and being friendly and like understanding. And it is hard, especially I hear so much about, other agencies that run just on short-term goals, exactly what you said, just because they don't understand that you should be creating a business for longevity to be like the most successful. But it is hard to just have faith because especially with marketing and just any kind of relationship building, like position is that if you're focusing on short-term goals, those relationships are probably hollow. Like they're not really someone that you really care about or like will feel cared about. And you might get a bunch of sales in the beginning, but if you don't maintain those people, then are you really like focusing on the right things?
Yeah. And I think even like I'll probably switch faith to vision, like having the trust in that vision and having also sort of the guts to see that through. Because again, like leadership teams, they are under a lot of pressure. There's the board, there's your investors saying like, no, like you need to bring us XYZ results. And then a lot of the times the first gut reaction is like, let's switch gears to lead gen. But your lead gen, you're only going to have a finite pool of people that you can convert from like people who already know you. if you want to actually unlock new growth, you need to get to the people who haven't heard of you yet. And a brand is the only way in here. You cannot come to this crowd and say like, hey, fill a contact us form and like get in a sales call with us. Like, why should they care? And for you to like move these people into the pool of people you can sell to, you need the brand.
Yeah, they need to relate, they need to trust, they need to understand. And that is only through work, like long-term work, like effort. And it's hard to show the kind of fruits of your labor if it's something that will happen in a long term.
Exactly.
Well, okay, to round out the podcast, like maybe be a little forward looking because we're a little over time, but I had a really great time today. Okay, so tell me what you're excited about for the future. Anything. Like what you're looking forward to so you can end the podcast on a positive note and maybe get excited about it.
I am itching to run a B2B influencer campaign for Crowd on LinkedIn. And so that's something that it's in the works, it's in the planning, and very much looking forward to that. On a bigger note, I'm actually very excited about how consumer behavior now is shifting towards, AI search, and like search is very much evolving. So we're not searching on just Google anymore, although we're still there. And actually Google searchers are up as a whole. So people, as a result of all of these AI and LLM platforms, are searching more everywhere, which I find very interesting. But people now, they're looking for information on TikTok, on YouTube, on Reddit. And so I think that now as it's proliferating, it's also an opportunity for brands to level set and, show up in different places in different ways. Like now Instagram has started indexing, or Google has started indexing captions for SEO from Instagram, meaning that what you now post on Instagram becomes a part of your SEO strategy. And so I think it's actually an exciting space because it means that people will start to have to build authority online again. I think PR is going to be one of those areas that's going to see a little bit of a mini renaissance because you need trusted sources for LLMs to pull from. And so I think it's going to give the marketing industry a little bit of a shakeup in terms of how they show up and what stories they tell, but it's going to be very content driven, and I'm excited for that.
I completely agree. I think that there's actually I'm excited for the shift in the same way of the idea that it seems like more authentic content, like you said, will be more valuable, because I think for the longest time a lot of people were of the vice, like focusing on blogs, like domain authority specifically, trying to do link building, and of course that's never not going to be important, I don't think, but at the same time pushing out blog posts that maybe don't provide value for people, I don't think is going to work anymore. And I'm excited that things will be more content driven and personalized, I think, for the future. Yeah. And that's something I'm super excited about because I love authenticity, and I love that is what makes a business successful rather than, the latter.
100%.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. I had an incredible time. It was great to learn about you and your interesting backstory, but also I'm really excited about your career journey. It was really amazing to learn from you, and I'm happy that our audience gets to do the same thing.
No, Shannon, this was a blast.
Yay. I'm so excited. I hope that it sets the tone for the day, and I hope that the rain doesn't get you down. But thank you so much again.
No, thank you. Thank you. This was so fun.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone listening. We'd be nothing without you. I hope that you can check out other episodes and get to learn like I get to every time. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.